Hey there, John Morris here, johnmorrisonline.com. Welcome back to another episode of The John Morris Show. So I got this from Aaron. He said, I went to a community college and I highly recommend it. 2 years of core technical classes. You have to live off campus because they don't have dorms, so a lot less partying. Show up around 8 in the morning and leave around 3 or 4, so it gives you some structure. Plus $3,000 semester is very affordable. Quite a few of the students at the community college are adults. They have children or families and part-time, full-time jobs, so I think maybe the focus is less on the college experience and quite a bit more on improving your skill set. The non-technical gen ed classes are somewhat applicable to any job: writing, calculus, public speaking, accounting. The core technical classes I ended up taking introduced me to Python, Java, JavaScript, C++, and also database admin, Linux servers, a lot of networking courses, basic concepts of security, different server softwares, writing SQL queries, and general front-end HTML5, CSS3. That's not the end of it. I want to go through this whole thing. I know it's a little longer, but I want to go through it. But I just want to point out here, this is one of the issues for me. I get all that stuff's good, and if you're into that stuff, then that's great, and it kind of gives you some basic knowledge of all of this stuff. But to me, it would be better if you spent all of the time that you're learning, say Python and Java and C++ and networking courses and that sort of stuff. If you're getting into web development, again, I'm not saying that stuff, there's not certain times where maybe that stuff's applicable, and having a big picture doesn't, that has some value in it in a sense. But to me, it would be better for you to spend that on HTML or CSS or JavaScript or PHP, or even if you're in the Node or whatever, Python you could throw in there. I mean, that's some of the problem, no matter whether it's community college or regular college, etc. You're paying $3,000 a semester. It's taking 2 years, which is still, that's by far better than a 4-year university, but there's still that problem that you're learning a bunch of stuff that ultimately you don't really need to know. I'm not saying it's not good to know, but there's a difference between good and useful and need to know. So it's less of a problem, but it's still a problem. But that's not actually what I'm going to talk about today. So let me get into the rest of this. So he said, so you should consider suggesting this to people. 2 years is half the time. It's relatively cheaper than a 4-year university. And most importantly, you can apply the things you learn to actual development. I'm one accounting course short of actually getting the degree. Again, it's just kind of interesting that the course he's short is an accounting course for web development. I'm not trying to rag on this guy. I'm just saying that's, again, some of the problem I have with all this. So I'm one accounting course short of actually getting a degree, and this is where I agree that the piece of paper means very little, or I'd have found the time to finish the class. Just my 2 cents, but I found it was very valuable overall and well worth the small amount of money spent. So look, the thing about this, I don't necessarily disagree with all of that, but this is the thing for me. When I first went to college, I actually believed that I was doing the right thing. I think my mind and my heart was mostly in the right place. I was a 18-year-old kid like anybody else, so as much as it could be at the time, I felt like I was doing the right thing, and I believed I was setting myself up for the future. Now, it didn't work out. Things happened. I got married. I joined the Army, etc. But when I went back several years later, it was for all the wrong reasons. I went back to get the loan money that I used to pay bills. I went back to get the GI Bill money, and I thought I was being slick. I thought I was getting away with something. I wasn't really thinking long-term about my future. And now here I am a decade later, and I'm still literally each month paying for those decisions. Still paying off loans that I didn't need. I didn't need them at that time. I wasn't going to school for any other reason. It wasn't because I needed to learn this skill or that skill because I thought it would help me. It was purely to get the loan money. I know that's not everybody, but there's a lot more to this, and it's a lot more complex than I think a lot of people like to make it. And now again, here I am later paying the price, and it's really my family that pays the price. Now, I'm not saying I'm hard up or anything. That's not what I'm saying. But, still the money that I paid towards those loans, that could be more money I'm putting away for college for my kids if that's what ultimately happens, or for a boot camp, or for stuff for them to invest in, or just more stuff I could do with them, or places I could take them. It's a significant amount of money that I pay each month to pay off these loans that I didn't need. Now, again, I'm not saying everybody has the wrong approach like I did, but what I am saying is it's too easy to just write that stuff off and think I'll worry about it later until it comes time for you actually to pay that bill. So if you need it, that's one thing. But if you really don't need it, then why give yourself that? Why attach that debt and that burden to yourself when you don't really need it? And ultimately, what I want you to figure out is if you really need it. And if you're going to do these things, I'm not saying don't go to college. I'm not saying don't go to community college. I'm not saying take a boot camp. All I'm saying is go in with both eyes open. So when you describe community college, it sounds like a pretty decent option. It doesn't sound too bad. And it sounds like you have actually thought it through. And like you said, for you, it was valuable. That doesn't mean it's going to be that way for everybody. I mean, that's good. And that's all I'm after is for you to think that stuff through. And I'm glad it worked out. But even that, it's still a $10,000 to $15,000 commitment. And it's years of your life. Again, less than a 4-year university, but still a pretty decent sized commitment. So you really ought to know if you're actually going to enjoy doing this and if you're going to be good at it or have the persistence, have the passion for it to get good at it. You really ought to know that before you make that kind of commitment. And there was another comment on my last video from Roberto that I think is kind of apt here. He said, as an instructor of one of these coding schools, I see that the ones that succeed are the students that have tried taking courses online and understand the amount of work involved in learning how to code. They know what they're getting into before they go into it. If you just kind of think that this is my path out and you haven't really invested too much time into it before that, it's probably going to be a struggle. So, as I always say, make your own decisions. It's your life. Do what you want. You know what's best for you, but just think them through and understand the future consequences that decisions that you make today are going to have. And I know that's hard, that's difficult to ask of someone who's maybe 18 or 22 or even 25. Even me at 36, I still do it. But again, it's something that needs to be said, and I don't want you to buy into this notion that you absolutely have to take this path and that's the only way that you can go, or to have you invest in something only to get halfway through and find out this really isn't for me, or I didn't need this. I didn't need to invest all of this. I could have done this other thing and I would have been just fine. So that's all I'm trying to get across here. And like I said yesterday, if one of the nice things about all this is there are so many options. If you want a crash course on this stuff, a kind of mini boot camp that will help you to determine pretty quickly whether or not this kind of thing is for you, and also, by the way, teach you a ton of really great stuff and help you check off a bunch of stuff on that need to learn list that you might have if you know that this is what you want to do, I recommend Colt Steele's Web Developer Bootcamp. It's like Omkar commented about the course. He said, I've tried several courses to learn web development, but this is by far the best I have come across. Colt makes learning some of the most complex things easy and fun. The structure of the course is very impressive. The coding exercises are important, etc., etc. So that's a good first experience to have. Someone who's a good teacher, knows the stuff, can actually teach well, make it easy and fun, and can help you to get excited about it and to be passionate about it because they're teaching it to you in the right way. That's the kind of thing that you want to look for. And again, get into that and see if it's going to work out for you. Build some stuff, work with a few clients, figure that part out of it before you go investing even at community college, the $15K, the 2 years, or a boot camp, which is about the same price in 5-6 months, or $100,000 in 4 years at a unit. Before you do all of that, figure out if this is really something that you want to do. I know I've kind of beat this horse to death and back a little bit, but it is one of the things that in my life in particular that I regret, is that I made those dumb decisions. I didn't really think things through, and I want to help you to keep from doing that. So again, you decide. Like I said, they're doing a promotion right now where you can get most of these courses for just $10. So if you want that discount, it's johnmorrisonline.com/bootcamp. That will take you to Colt Steele's course. If you want to check some of the other courses, it's johnmorrisonline.com/June. That'll just trigger the discount. You can kind of search around and find what you want. But keep in mind, this one ends in 2 days. So if you want to make sure and jump on it right away. All right, that'll do it for this episode. Thanks for watching. If you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe, and we'll talk to you next time.